Right, what we're going to do then is, and this is just something that we had talked about previously, so we're almost just going to kind of finish off on what we said. We're going to make some individual pies, because the week that we talked about pies, we were talking about the pastry being underneath and how it wasn't crispy, etc. So we're going to make a hot water crust pie. And the reason I'd like to do it is just literally because it's really easy. And it's like another one of those things that people think, I can't make pastry, it's too difficult. Christmas is coming up. Some of you might like to make a pork pie or something for the Boxing Day spread. And it's ever so simple. So what I'm going to do first is get some fat on the go with some water. So I've got here 85 grams of butter and 85 grams of lard. And you can, for that, use like a slightly cheaper butter if you want, like a spread. And I'm going to add to that 150 ml of cold water. Okay. Now I'm going to put that onto a reasonably high heat. And all I want that to do is boil up. Okay. So in my bowl I've got 450 grams of flour, and I'm going to add to that a teaspoon of salt. And it's quite important, obviously, that you season that flour, because if you don't, that's going to be quite bland. And then I'm just going to beat up 2 eggs. Now this will make a reasonable amount of pastry, but again, it's one of those things that if you go to the effort, and you can freeze. So once you've made it, you can freeze it if you want. I don't think there's anything better in the world than pie. I don't know what your thoughts are, but if it was my last meal, I'd take a really good pie. Chocolate pie. I mean, I have to. I don't know what you think, Kelly. I really don't. So now all I've got is just those in there, and I'm just going to put my eggs into the middle, and I just want to kind of cover them up. So I'm just going to loosely mix the eggs in, and I'm almost kind of just protecting them from the hot liquid that's about to go in there. And I'm just roughly mixing that in, like so. Okay. Now, obviously, you could do a short crust pastry pie, but we've talked about the fact you need to blind bake. I don't think you can buy pre-made hot water crust pastry. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to let this, I'm just going to grab this out. Sorry, Betty, watch yourself. Just going to take one of our puddings out because that's ready. Beautiful. We'll have that after. So I'm just going to let this melt down. And actually, it's a really easy pastry to make because you're not stood there breadcrumbing. You're literally just melting. So plain flour, obviously really important. Teaspoon of salt, 2 eggs in there, and then my liquid's going to go in. Did anybody watch the Bake Off this week? The Bake Off this week was pastry week, wasn't it? And one of their tasks was a bit of hot water crust pastry, making little pies. And some of them didn't do it so well. Some of them did. So we'll just give that a mix. Now this is going to bubble and foam. And as soon as that is, I'm just going to take it off the heat. I'm just going to let it cool for a minute or so because I don't want to scramble the eggs. And then I'm going to pop it in, mix it up, and then it's just going to go into the fridge. So here we go. So there's my liquid. Literally everything's just gone. So it's just like a foamy mixture there. And I'm just going to let it cool for a minute, pop it in. And then all you're going to do once you've done that is bring it together and just wrap it in some cling film and pop it in the fridge for a couple of hours. Now, obviously, I made some earlier. And I'm just going to pop that in. So I'll just give it a minute or so to cool. Pour that in, cling film it up, and you're away. And then, like I say, you can split it down. You can see how many pies it makes. They are super simple. And because it's tinned wheat, what we're going to do today is we're going to use a tin of beef casserole in our pies. Obviously, we're all here and people are engaging in it, so you could quite easily use the chicken pie mix in them. You could find a lovely beef pie filling and pop in them, which works out just the same cost if you're making a load. So we're just using the pie mix just because it's tinned wheat. So I'm going to pop that in there. I'm going to give everything a stir together. And this is as easy as it is. So we've got lard, butter, egg, flour, and a bit of salt. Right, here we go. So this is what it looks like. It almost looks like mashed potato. Or if you've ever made it, choux pastry. You made choux pastry, profiteroles. It looks like that. profiteroles. That's a nice recipe. Perhaps we'll have to do that Christmas week, will we? That would be nice, wouldn't it? Right, I'm just going to take this other little pudding out. We've got a lot going on Christmas week, haven't we? So literally, all you do is take this out of the bowl. It feels soft. It's supposed to feel soft. It'll firm up in the fridge. Cling film that up. You don't need to knead it or anything. Just cling film it up, pop it in the fridge, and you could leave it as long as you want, obviously, but if you leave it a couple of hours, it'll be ready to use. At this point, if you want to freeze some, you could freeze it now. You could freeze it once you've rolled it. If you do it and you think, oh, I've got too much, what am I going to do with this? Just pop it into the freezer. Okay, so I'm just going to move mine aside, and then I'm just going to get one that I prepared earlier. Now I've got Betty and Daisy on duty here, religiously making a load of mini pies for me. Bless their hearts. I'm just going to show you if you're going to do a slightly larger one. So I'm going to flour a surface. I've taken some of my pastry off already. I just need that rolling pin for a minute, but is that all right? Now you can see that it just firms up. And it's a bit like any pastry in that when you roll it, you want to roll it on one hit and get as many out as you can. Because every time you regather, it gets tougher, a bit like a pizza dough, and it doesn't want to go back to where you want it to be. So just try and get as much out of it as you can. So I'm going to roll it reasonably thin. I normally kind of work on the premise of a pound coin thickness. If you do more than a pound coin's thickness, the danger is it's going to be soggy. And you don't want to cut through your pie and see a massive kind of 2 centimetre chunk of pastry on the bottom. That's no good for anybody. So we'll roll that out. It shouldn't really stick because you've left it to chill. Obviously, if you haven't left it to chill, it's a problem. And when you're working with things like this, I would normally cut it in half because you know that you can't work with the entire thing at once anyway, because some's going to be for the lids and things. So that's my pastry. So there we go. It'll hold. It's a sort of decent strength. Now, I'm just coming over. We've got some mini pies today, so we didn't have to chop them up. I just want to show you my most favourite pie tin. This is why it looks like that. So it's a really good size. This is a Denby tin that I got reduced in Aldi's, which is next to the Kinnerton chocolate shop. So if you want to go and see both, if you want a day out in Fakenham, Aldi's, this is actually a Denby muffin tin. Now they are big muffins, I would think. I've never used it for muffins, but the other thing they're really good for is Yorkshire puddings. Okay, really good for Yorkshires. So I'll use a slightly smaller one just in case we need to, but you would get nice big size pies out of that. And what I really nice is they're just individual, so they're a good meal. Okay, whereas that I feel shortchanged. Wouldn't you? I'd think, where's the rest of it? I really would. So you could sort of get a pie cutter for this, or like a disc cutter. I'm just going to kind of freestyle mine today, and I'm going to put in a teeny bit of oil just to grease it. I would probably use butter if you were at home, like that. Just lightly grease them so they pop out.
When you chill the pastry,
Yep.
Jen, do you, when you bring it out, can you use it straight away?
Yeah, you can use it straight away. Unless you've kind of chilled it for 2 days and it's really firm. If you've done it for a couple of hours, it should be fine. Once you get it going, it'll be absolutely fine. So I'm just going to line these. And what I want to do today, and I've done it in slightly extreme, I just want to leave a bit of an overhang. So I'm not trying to cut these perfectly. And what I'm trying to do is push everything really into the shape of the tin. I don't want lots of air bubbles underneath. And sometimes you'll sort of get it in and you'll think that's okay, and then you go to push down and you can feel a big pocket of air. But this is quite robust pastry. I did notice when they did it on the Great British Bake Off, lots of them just took balls of pastry and just shaped them. But a lot of them went horribly wrong. So I'm going to stick with this method. So just like this. So it looks like that. All I've done is just pop them in, left an overhang, like so. Okay? Now we'll just do a couple in there because we have got quite a few on the go behind. Now I've got the girls have done some beef pies for me, and I've also got some veggie ones over there. So we didn't forget about the vegetarians. I made a little vegetarian filling. What have I got here? Chunky chicken. So we'll do a couple of these. Now, like I say, you could easily, obviously, make your own, which would be fab. But we're just going to use these today. Now, you don't want to overfill. If you overfill, you'll get leakage. Sometimes as well, you open these and they're a bit boring. What you could do is just add your own little veg in there. You could add a bit of sweet corn, you could add some mushroom just to spice up if you are using a tin. Don't think, oh, that's the tin, I've just got to use what's in the tin. You can just freestyle a little bit. You could add a bit of dried thyme in there. Oh dear, I've got a runaway chicken. So I'm just going to kind of fill them just under the kind of level of the tin. Now, can I borrow the egg wash, girls? These are looking sensational. Well done, thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to top them off now. The other thing you can do to get ahead, if you want, is, and this does work quite well, is if you line the tins with the pastry and then just put that back in the fridge, they'll sit and firm up. And then when you want to cook the pies, then put the filling in, then do the top. What I wouldn't suggest you do is fill it all, get all of the filling in, all of the lids on, and then put them back in the fridge, because obviously that filling is just starting to make that bottom slightly soggy. So, oh, I just need that a minute, sorry. It's a little bit time consuming. So if you want them, you know, later, line the bottoms and then go from there. Now, we want a lid which is just a bit bigger than, you can kind of get cutters for this. I've got all sorts of cutters at home, but we'll just roughly cut today. I'm going to take my lid, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to egg wash the bottom of the lid because I want it to stick to this. But what I want to do is put the lid almost inside the pie because I want to create a seal. So I'm going to go in. Now, do you see what I mean? I'm going inside there, and I'm going to push it in so the two fit together like that. And then really simply, I'm just going to go around and just pinch it together. And it's just really important that you do pinch it and that you've used some egg wash. You could use milk if you want to. Talked about that before, if you don't want to crack an egg open for that. So just go around, pinch it together. We'll do one more. We'll do one more here. So take our lid, do that, pop that on here, like so, and just make sure you really pinch it. Now that's why I left an overlap on that pastry before. If I hadn't left an overlap, now I'd be kind of fighting around in the tin, trying to find something to stick my lid to, and I don't want to. So all the way around. I mean, pies are just, you could do curry pies, you could do lamb pies, anything. If you do like, say, a brisket on a Sunday lunch, you could then make a little pie filling out of any leftovers that you've got. You okay? There you go, there's a bit more dough if you need it. Right, so all I'm going to do then, I don't really want to kind of leave them right up like that. I could do. I don't want to cut them small though, so I'm just going to literally trim off the excess. Not right down to the bottom, just a little trim, because hot water cross pastry is delicious. So who doesn't want to eat it? This has got lard in, but you could use vegetable shortening if you wanted to.
If you wanted to freeze them, would you have to cook them first?
The pies, no, I would freeze them like this. It's so raw, but
You said about not freezing the fridge.
yeah, but that's because what would happen in the fridge is that what I mean is that the pastry on the bottom is going to start getting a bit soggy from the filling. If they now went straight into the freezer, that's obviously just going to freeze out. You're fine. You can cook them by all means, but sometimes it's.
You could freeze them like that.
So yeah, so either way really, but I would probably have them uncooked. Pardon? Yeah, and then just freeze them. But just don't kind of sit them in the fridge for 3 hours and then think, oh, actually, I'll freeze them, because then they're going to get soggy. Now, all you're then going to do is egg wash, like so. It's going to be a race against time. Hope you got nowhere to be. There we go. So they're going to go in, and fingers crossed there'll be no leakage. They'll be absolutely fine. The girls are going to, in a minute, they're going to get theirs in. We're going to focus on getting theirs in a second. Now, I'm going to show you one last thing, because I've got a bit of filling left somewhere. Where's my chicken filling? Here it is. If you have, sorry, you haven't even got what I need. Here it is. If you've got a bit of pie filling or casserole filling, you don't know what to do with it. This is another meal that you can make. I think our chicken pie looked nicer than this, do you? Yeah. So you can put any kind of thing, and obviously it could be homemade, be whatever you like. Any kind of casserole. You know when you've had something a couple of days and you're trying to look for different ways to make things interesting so people don't know you're serving the same food up. This is what we're going to do. Take a potato. I've just washed it, but I've left the skin on. And I'm just going to take the bottom off so that it sits flat, and therefore my fingers are no longer in danger. And then I'm going to go through as thin as you can safely get it. So nice and thin, a couple of mils thick, like so, all the way through. You could do these really nicely individually for one. So essentially we're just going to make a little hot pot with what we've got left. So you're getting another day's dinner, and you could do this with a beef one, whatever. A bit like we did with our apples last week. I'm just going to take my potatoes and I'm just going to go round. That's why they need to be nice and thin. And I'm just going to hot pot them. So I'm just going to lightly concertina them around. It's all about the low fat, well, not really low fat, low effort. Like that. And then we'll just take them round in the middle. You could do like a curried hot pot. Anything you like. So we'll just pop those on there. And then, there we go. Just like that, ever so simple. Now we want them to slightly crisp in the oven. So I'm going to get a little drizzle of oil. And then, if you had some dried herbs, that would be nice. A bit of thyme would be nice on there. Now I'm just going to do a little sprinkle of salt. We're going to get that in the oven, and all we're looking for is the potatoes to crisp, because the pie filling's already cooked, and your pie filling would already be cooked if you'd made it from scratch. So we're literally just looking for a crispy top, and then we've got another meal. Okay? Right, who's ready for a bit of cobbler? So I'm just going to dish up a bit of cobbler. Pardon? Just plates. Okay, that's fine. Right, let's just get these in here, girls. Great job, you two. Right, just plates. Okay, so we're going to go cobbler on a plate. Days, could you get out the bowl of cream from that fridge? I think it's in a silver bowl. Oh, I'm so sorry. Here we go. Okay, so that's just going to, it's just going to kind of cake over the top, basically. Now, I don't know which flavour you're going to be getting. And if anybody doesn't want the low-fat accompaniment, shout. Otherwise, we're all having it. Okay, right. You're going to go around the other side, Bet, and deliver?
Yeah.
Good girl. Well done. Okay, here we go. So, is everybody happy with cream? It's not really low fat, is it? And we need some spoons, I think, or some forks. Might have to use forks if not. Have we got any spoons anywhere? I don't know. That's what we need.
We need a pan for some peas.
What I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some little mushy peas with them. No, but there is a bit of leakage, so just take it very quickly. Right, when you have the pie, I just want you to be aware that I am aware they should have had 5 more minutes in the oven. But we're going to get into trouble. Would anyone like a veggie one? If you're having a veggie one, would you like peas?
Yes, please.
Yes, peas, yeah. I think you might, Hilda. Anyone else need one?
Got to try it.
Not too right when you've helped prepare it. Blimey.
Okay.
Part of the process.